Welcome everyone to the quickest video I have ever produced. This is the announcement finally for the RLCS 2022-23 season. Enough about seeing my face, let's get into the details, transition over to this lovely document that has just gone in. This is my first reactions, first reading of everything that is going on. As you can see here, the official name is the Rocket League Championship Series 2022-23 season. Teams from all over the globe set to compete for their share of $6 million prize pool and a shot at glory at the Rocket League World Championship. And yes, that is returning as we see here. Refining the RLCS format. This is what I am most excited about to see what the differences are that they are changing for this format this time. It was a testing ground last go around. But this season, again, they are dividing it into fall, winter, and spring splits. Every split, as before, has regional events, 3 of those, as we saw with the Fall Open, the Fall Cup, and Fall Invitational as examples. They'll have full open qualifiers to fill the 16 available slots for the Fall Open, like we had last year for RLCS 2021-22. For the Winter and Spring Opens, the top 8 overall in points will auto-qualify, and the remaining 8 slots will be filled from open qualifiers, like we saw happen before. And each cup will have 8 teams qualified via overall season points and 8 additional teams that qualify via open qualifiers, which makes sense. It's kind of how things went last go around. Each invitational will field the region's top 16 teams in total RLCS points. Okay, so that's a little bit different than we saw last time. So they have an open, they have a cup, and then an invitational afterwards. So it kind of progresses throughout the season compared to what we saw happen last time. Each split is capped to with an in-person 16-team international major. So we saw that happen as well. I was hoping they would advance it to more like 32 teams and kind of restructure that, but it seems like it's very similar to how it was before. Remains the same 16 teams that we saw based on the points and having specific teams from each region. So teams earn points during regional events and international majors to qualify for the Rocket League World Championship. As we saw before, all adds up eventually. You just got to make sure you do well at the beginning and eventually get to that World Championship afterwards, especially if you play in those international majors. Points have been adjusted to have lower totals. Okay, I like that. I like that. Makes it easier to identify exactly how many points someone needs and not have those massive numbers that we saw at the end of the season. Makes a lot of sense there. As you can see, give an idea of the change. Max amount of points a team can earn. Perfect run is 300 instead of 5,262, which was last season. Makes a lot of sense for that. APAC is just a single region. There we go. I mean, it makes sense because the servers are in the same group. Also pretty great with some of the roster changes and roster moves that we've seen to APAC as a whole. So having APAC just be its own region instead of having them fight for the same spot, it's great to see how that's working there as well. So in the fall split, a 16-team Swiss stage will feed into an 8-team single elimination bracket. Winner split, this is how they're doing it this time. 4 groups of 4 battle it out in a round-robin group stage to qualify for the 12-team single elimination bracket. So they're keeping single elimination brackets at the end. Makes sense for that. In spring split, teams will fight through a 16-team double elimination bracket. Okay, so the fall split, winter split, and the spring split, seem to be the exact same as they were last go around. So that's nice to see that they kept that style. They're keeping it different per each split to kind of mix things up a little bit there as well to make it interesting at that point in time. And then Rocket League World Championship format and qualification, they haven't changed that either. APAC will still have 2 slots, but that's nice. But they will qualify from a single regional league. So that'll be interesting to see how things shake up there with the top teams from both APAC North and South. The roster locks and signups. This is what I talked about in my previous video. So I was a little bit off with the days, but I did say it was going to be announced this week. So there we go. I was correct in my previous video. If you missed it, definitely recommend checking that out. But APAC, MENA, North America, and OCE, September 25th. There we go. Looking at a calendar real quick. As we talked about that 2-week window, we're basically there as what we are seeing at this point in time for that roster lock. So that makes sense. And then EU, SAM, and SSA is October 3rd there as well. Broadcasted information. This is what I'm most curious about, too. They're changing things up a little bit there as well. So 3 a.m. Pacific time, APAC. EU is going to be 8 a.m. Pacific on Twitch and YouTube. North America will be 5 p.m. UTC or 10 a.m. Pacific time. That'll be kind of early for people in the that kind of coast, but it's okay. MENA, same as it was before. OC, SAM, and SSA, they're actually going to actually have a Twitch channel for that this time. So that's new too, because I know some of the SSA guys were just putting on that broadcast themselves. So great to see that they'll have an official stream. Here's our first graphic that we have too. That is going to be for the way things are split up. So they have an open, and it elevates into a cup, and then elevates into an invitational. So there's not as many chances for teams, it seems like, to try and qualify for these bigger events. And then after the invitational is a major. So they are accelerating throughout the split. So it makes it that much more important. Going back up to that for just a second. Fall open qualifiers to fill all slots. And then once it goes into the cup after that, 8 teams who have qualified over season points. So those come from that open qualifier, or the fall open, excuse me, and have another 8 teams from open qualifiers. Then an invitational. They would have had 3 open qualifier events last go around. This time they're nixing the 3rd open qualifier event and making an invitational. So that's how it's different from last go around. And then they have the major after that. So interesting to see how that's working. Fall open, we have the dates. Let's see how accurate I was with those as well. Asia and Pacific looks like 8th and 9th will be their fall open. So yeah, that's just in a couple of weeks. Looking like that first day there. North America, 7th and 9th. There we go. I was right on that dates as well. Nice to see. Pat myself on the back on that one. But of course, it makes sense that the rest of the dates are spread out accordingly there. Transfer windows, we still have those. Have to keep 2/3 of your roster, but can change one of those afterwards. We're just quickly going to scroll through these dates, not to make this too long of a video, but more to come. They can't wait to kick it all off on October 7th. More news, including details on live majors and world championship content. I'm imagining the first major is going to be in North America and have the actual world championship in Europe this time, just to shift things up a bit. But that's all. That's all she wrote. We'll go back to that graphic for the schedule. And it's great to see that this is going to be the full announcement. They didn't do a stream this go around, which I was expecting a stream to happen, but maybe just schedule. Maybe they just wanted to release this because they were running out of time, and that could be it. But regardless, as I switch back to my face for a second, hopefully you guys are excited as I am for the RLCS 2022-23 season, because it is going to be a good one.